So far, it seems pretty clear that a majority of the MCU Disney Plus shows most likely won't get a second season. Wanda's continuing her story in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will continue in Captain America 4, Hawkeye's story will continue in Echo and the Daredevil reboot, with Kate Bishop going on to join the Young Avengers, and Moon Knight will probably continue to explore and build upon the darker corner of the universe with Blade, Werewolf by Night, which a leaked Funko Pop confirms that Werewolf by Night will appear in the show, and even the rumored Man-Thing project. The only two shows that we know are getting a second season are Loki and What If. But Marvel Studios just confirmed that at least Hawkeye and Moon Knight won't get a second season. Marvel Studios put up Loki, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight to get awards at the Emmys, and like I said, this confirms that at least Hawkeye and Moon Knight won't get a second season because they were put in the limited series category. On the other hand, Loki, which we already know is getting a second season, was only entered into the drama category. And honestly, I think that most of us agree that it doesn't really matter if these characters continue to get more seasons for their shows, because we know that they're going to continue to appear in the MCU in other projects and go on to do team-ups and other stuff. Oscar Isaac shocked us by saying that he doesn't have a contract with Marvel Studios, but that doesn't matter, because we know that he's going to be here for a while. We know that he'll probably appear in Werewolf by Night and Blade and the Midnight Suns, and all of the other characters in the shows that aren't getting second seasons already either have a set path or things are being set up that will take them in a different direction. So there's really nothing to worry. And while I don't talk about DC too often, I will today because there are a couple things that are really important. It's possible that DC will cancel The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Stargirl. The reason being that they want to make different shows. And this makes sense. The CW can only run so many shows at a certain time, and it's the same with the MCU. We're already getting 4, 5, 6 different shows a year, but by making one season which introduces the character in a story, it allows Marvel to take the characters in a different direction in movies or other team-up projects, and then at the same time to introduce new characters and stories through new IPs and Disney Plus shows. And that's what's so great about the MCU. Everything is connected. Now back to DC, this is one thing that they really struggle with. It doesn't seem like any of their movies are connected, and if they are, they're very loosely, or they just seemingly continue to make new universes. However, with Discovery's new deal to buy Warner Bros. For $43 billion from AT&T, it seems like this could finally change. Discovery currently has a plan to spend upwards of $3 to $5 billion to, I guess, fix the DCEU. They want to finally challenge Marvel and really make a connected universe. So while we don't really know much about their plans, we do know, according to sources like Variety, that they're planning to bring in people that already know how to make connected universes and to basically revamp DC's entire strategy. Now the reason why I'm even bringing this up is because it's really good news for the MCU. Up to this point, the MCU has had absolutely no competition. Thankfully, we've still been getting very good projects, but if DCEU actually catches up to Marvel and starts making movies that can compete on the same level, it'll force Marvel Studios to make even better shows and movies to stay on top of DC, because the moment they fall asleep, DC will easily take over. I love Marvel and I'm not exactly a big DC fan, and I don't keep as up to date with everything DC like I do Marvel. The reason being that I don't really have time to read comics. I would love to, and I would love to cover them on the channel as well, but I just don't have time, and honestly, it's kind of daunting to start getting into comics because there's so many. But what keeps me coming back to the MCU and what has gotten me so in love with it are how good the movies are and how connected the universe feels. But if you really think about it, there aren't that many characters in the MCU that are as popular as Batman or Superman or Aquaman. Sure, we have Spider-Man, but those are co-productions with Sony, so the MCU doesn't really have free will with Spider-Man or any of his characters. Now imagine if DC was actually making movies on the level of, or even better than the MCU. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if most of, if not all of DC's movies started making a lot of money. I mean, how many times have they rebooted Batman in the past few years? We have Ben Affleck, now we have Robert Pattinson, and they're even supposed to bring back Michael Keaton in The Flash. But imagine if through Flashpoint or some other way, they were able to connect everything just like how Marvel's trying to do through the Multiverse of Madness. And then after connecting everything, they started streamlining stuff and making it all connect in a more cohesive way like the MCU does. If the CW shows connected to the DCEU, and then they found a way to connect it to Robert Pattinson's Batman, and also to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, etc., a lot of fans would be very happy. And then imagine if on top of that, they got better writers and directors, and put in more money and effort to compete with the MCU, it would really be amazing. And I think Marvel should start getting a little nervous. So while I'm not saying that new MCU movies are bad, or that Marvel is getting worse as time goes on, because that's obviously not the case, assuming that DC does actually change things and starts catching up to Marvel, it's very possible that Marvel Studios starts investing even more time and money into their projects, and we get some even better stuff. And lastly, James Gunn was asked by a fan, "You've previously said that after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, your work with Marvel is likely done. But if they handed you absolutely any Marvel character you wanted with free reign, is there anyone you'd like to do a project about? And Gunn responded with, "There are presently no characters at either Marvel or DC that I want to be working with right now that I'm currently not." We already know that after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that James Gunn will leave the MCU, at least for a while. However, the Guardians of the Galaxy aren't going anywhere, and we know that some other director will either step up to keep the team's story going, or that they'll be rebranded and they'll go in a different direction. And we could possibly even get more stuff that connects to the Guardians of the Galaxy, because so far they have kind of been standalone, or possibly even spin-offs or projects about related characters like the Ravagers or the Guardians 3000. But even if James Gunn does leave, you shouldn't be worried because it's not the end of the Guardians. So let me know what you guys think about all this. What do you think of most of the Disney Plus shows not getting a second season? Are you excited and hopeful that Discovery will be able to get DC back on the right path? And what do you think will happen to the Guardians following Volume 3 when James Gunn leaves? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you will never miss another video. Thanks for watching, and remember to wash your hands and stay safe.